What do you call a potato that wears glasses? 4 eyes. What's going on, everybody? In today's episode, we're gonna be planting potatoes. We're gonna be walking you through everything we do, how to do it, so you get the best results possible. We do this every year, but obviously we got a lot of new people, so welcome new people. If you're new, let us know in the comments box down below. I'm super excited to share this information with you because growing potatoes, in my opinion, is absolutely one of the most fun and rewarding things that you can do in your garden. Sure, it might not have the best return on your investment because you can buy a 50-pound bag of potatoes for like 10, 15 bucks, but you can't buy fun for 10 to 15 bucks, that's for sure. And potatoes are a heck of a lot more fun than just about anything else in the garden. A potato walked into a bar, he came out smashed. So right now, we are actually making our rows for our potatoes. And the rows are going to be where we're going to plant our potatoes in the trench here. And our rows are spaced out about 8 to 10 inches apart. It's really important you don't crowd your potatoes. I know a lot of people see gardeners growing potatoes in containers, which we'll talk about that in another episode. We're going to be doing a lot of container gardening this year. And a lot of you want to see potatoes in containers. So we'll definitely make an episode all about that. But when you see gardeners growing potatoes in containers, it can seem like they're very crowded and the yields look great. And the yields are really good, don't get me wrong, but the yields will be better if you can give them some space. Now, the ideal spacing, it's widely debated. It depends on varieties. It depends on the amount of nutrients you have in your soil. It depends on how loose your soil is. It depends on how long you're going to be growing your potatoes, right? So there are lots of different factors, but I've taken all of the noise and I basically reduced it down to a pretty simple spacing that works best, and we do it every year like this. Regardless of the variety, regardless if it's cut or not, regardless if we're growing it for early potatoes or the end of the season when the plants are dead, we're growing them the whole season, we space our potatoes out about 10 inches apart. That works best for us. That means our beds are about 3 feet long, and we're gonna put about 3 feet wide, I should say. We're gonna put about 4 potatoes. So I'm gonna dig this trench out a little deeper, just like this. Dig this trench out, and we want to go, when we're digging our trench, we want to go about 7 to 8 inches deep. Now you can surface sow your potatoes. That is a method that you can do. You can take your potatoes, sit them right on the surface like that, and then cover it with a really thick layer of mulch. And that does work as well, like a thick layer of straw or grass clipping, something like that. It's going to actually encourage the roots to go down into your really soft, loose, well-draining soil, and you'll get potatoes that way as well. But I find that by the tried and true way that's been done for hundreds of years is by throwing them about 7 to 8 inches deep into a trench, spaced out about 10 inches apart. That to me is just the simplest and the most tried and true way of growing your potatoes. What do you call 2 potatoes that love hanging out with each other? Best buds. So these potatoes here, they are whole, as you can see, and a lot of people ask about, should you cut them or should you put them in whole? In all honesty, if they don't have a lot of eyes developing, you could throw them in whole just like this. If they're really large, like if this potato only has 3 eyes forming, that's plenty fine. You don't typically want more than 3 plants though. After that, I typically would cut this in half. If there was 4, I'd cut it in half and do 2 and 2 because it tends to steal some energy away from the plant as it's growing. And you typically end up with slightly less production overall than if you were to cut them. But as it is, 3 or less, I'll just throw the whole potato in and you don't really need to actually cut them. We've got videos on how to cut them. It's a process called chitting, C-H-I-T-T-I-N-G, chitting. And that is basically just the process of kind of slicing your potato to divide it out into more eyes, because technically each eye that grows becomes its own plant that can produce potatoes. So I don't typically cut my smaller ones, but you definitely can if you got enough eyes. What's a thirsty potato's favorite drink? Taterade. So when it comes to nutrients, you really got to bring the nutrients. Potatoes are very heavy feeders. And one thing that we're going to be doing is right in the trench, right where we're planting our potatoes, we're going to be applying about 1/4 cup per seed potato right into the trench. We're going to sprinkle that in. And what that's going to do is going to provide nutrients right where those roots are forming. A lot of gardeners are really fearful of burning their plants by fertilizing close to them. When you're using an all-purpose balanced fertilizer that's intended for organic gardening, it's very gentle, but it's also very potent. It's a little bit odd. A little bit goes a long way, but this nutrients that we're adding right where the potatoes are is going to ensure that as the potato forms and as the plant develops, those nutrients are going to be readily available right where the plant is. And because potatoes are such heavy feeders, we're going to want to fertilize, because more fertilizer is actually going to have a direct correlation into how many potatoes we get. Believe it or not, there was a study done back in the 70s that looked at potash. Now, potash is the potassium. That's your third number in your fertilizer. Potatoes, it's a very common misconception that potatoes use lots of nitrogen. They do use lots of nitrogen, but only in the beginning of their life. Once they begin the flowering cycle actually transitions over to mostly potassium usage. So what we want to do is we want to encourage lots of growth initially. Sure, give them lots of nitrogen. We've actually gone through and we've actually amended this soil with some alfalfa pellets. Alfalfa pellets are a very rich source of nitrogen, and it's going to give a slow release nitrogen to your potatoes over time. But what we're also doing is we're giving them lots of potassium and nitrogen and phosphorus balanced through trifecta. Now, potassium has a direct correlation. The study that they did in the 70s found that when we basically double the amount of potassium available in the soil, the yields roughly doubled as well. Now, that did taper off at a certain point, but it went from the control was no potassium. Then there was let's say like 1 pound of potassium added. There was 2 pounds of potassium added. And what they found is the jump from 1 to 2 actually had a doubling effect. It was actually incredible. And then they went to 3 pounds, say 3 pounds of potassium. And then it didn't quite double from there, but they reached a point where the plants had basically super saturated their system with the potassium. And that encourages vigor. It encourages tuber development. And so you really don't want to go light on your fertilizer. Definitely go with an all-purpose fertilizer, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, trace minerals, beneficial bacteria and fungi. We use Trifecta Plus. That's going to be good for the overall soil. But what you want to avoid, and this is a cardinal sin of planting potatoes and looking for potassium, you do not want to use wood ash. I'll explain why, because we're still moving on with the planting portion. Wood ash is incredibly high in potassium, incredibly high, but it's incredibly alkaline. And that leads me to the next planting tip that we always stress about when planting potatoes, and that's soil pH. I have a lot of potatoes that just don't like my videos. I get bothered by it, but my mom just says, ignore the taters. So when we're planting our potatoes, pH matters. It's so important that we have acidic soil, because acidic soil controls a major potato disease known as scab. If you've ever harvested your potatoes or seen potatoes that are kind of leathery, or they seem really like dried out and they've got like kind of some scarring on the outside, that is known as potato scab. And the easiest way to control it is through having acidic soil. Now, when we have acidic soil, we are essentially preventing the scab, because the scab survives in a more alkaline or a higher pH soil. And that is why I said you don't want to use wood ash, because wood ash is very alkaline. And so you might be adding the potash we talked about. The potash is great. Don't get me wrong, the potash is wonderful. But the source of the potash is very alkaline, and that leads there to be a higher chance of getting potato scab. So what have we done to fix this? Well, we are using quite a few things. One, the soil we are planting in is old potting mix. Old potting mix is great because the medium is mostly sphagnum peat moss, which has a very acidic pH, right around kind of 4.5 to 5. So sphagnum peat moss is wonderful for that. So we've filled this bed in with some old potting mix just to repurpose it, and from that we get some acidic soil. Second, we're using Trifecta Plus. Trifecta Plus has a kind of more of a pH balanced fertilizer, but in there are little granules of some pelletized sulfur. That pelletized sulfur does have a tendency to decrease or lower the pH. It increases the acidity, lowers the pH. And if you're fertilizing with an all-purpose fertilizer that doesn't have any powdered sulfur, you can add it. It's really inexpensive. Go to your local hardware store, local garden center. They absolutely are going to have it. Usually it's advertised as like soil acidifier. A lot of people will apply it around their hydrangeas to turn them a different color. I believe it's blue. I'm not super well versed with hydrangeas, but I believe it's changing them like purple or blue because if they are alkaline, they're going to turn more like pink. And so I'm fairly certain that's right, but don't hold me to that. I'm a vegetable gardener, not a huge flower gardener. So we're working on that. After 16 years, one of my goals is to learn more about flowers, but I'll save that for Laura from Garden Answer. She's great. She's great at her flowers. So yeah, so you're going to see it advertised for like blueberries or see it advertised for hydrangeas because they can tolerate those and that's where it's typically used. But you absolutely can use it on your potatoes, and just a little sprinkle in the trench with your potatoes is going to ensure that the environment is slightly acidic, which is going to reduce that chance of scab. And then the final thing that we did with our potatoes to reduce the chance of scab is we actually used bulb dust. Now, bulb dust has sulfur in it, but we dusted these down with some sulfur powder when they were in the eye forming stage, when they were inside. And what that ensures is that it essentially creates a little protective skin around the potato that as the potato's in the soil, it's not going to rot as well, because we're not trying to prevent scab as much, but we are trying to prevent potato rot. And in the early season when it's cold and wet, I know I'm wearing a t-shirt right now tonight, it's supposed to be like, as crazy as it sounds, it's supposed to be in like the 30s. So it's cold, it's wet. That is where rot thrives. Rot loves cold and wet. And the early season, that extra acidity, the sulfur is going to prevent that rot from taking hold. And so that is why acidity in your soil is critical, and that's why you want to avoid using things like wood ash in your potato bed. How do you tell if a potato is listening to you? It'll say, potato, I understand. And the final thing I want to talk about is the discussion of determinate versus indeterminate potatoes. This is something that comes up every single year when we plant potatoes. Gardeners will say, are your potatoes determinate or are they indeterminate? There is no such thing, and we go through this all the time. We have to let down gardeners slowly all the time. We constantly have to remind gardeners that there is no such thing as a determinate and indeterminate potato. Potatoes are in the nightshade family, just like tomatoes are in the nightshade family. Tomatoes have a determinate and indeterminate tomato. Tomatoes are not potatoes. Peppers are also in the nightshade family, but you never hear anyone talking about determinate and indeterminate peppers. Eggplants are in the nightshade family. You never hear anyone talking about determinate and indeterminate eggplant. So potatoes are no different. There is no such thing as a determinate and indeterminate potato. That happened sometime on Pinterest a long time ago, and it has never died. So what a lot of people get this confused with is early, mid, and late season potatoes. I have an uncle that grows potatoes commercially. He is very knowledgeable about potatoes, and when you plant potatoes, you have an early, a mid, and a late season potato. This corresponds to the maturity time. It also corresponds to the flowering cycle. Potatoes do not flower all at the same stage in their life. Some potatoes will flower early, some will continue to flower all through their life. This has no correlation to tuber development whatsoever, other than signaling to you that the plant has reached maturity phase. And flowering can reduce energy, which can reduce tuber development and overall tuber count. So the more flowers you have, the more potatoes, or the less potatoes you're going to get. In fact, it's not uncommon at all for potato growers to actually go through with a topper and actually top the flowers off their plants, because it actually will increase the amount of vigor that the plant can put towards producing larger and more potatoes. So simply, an early season potato will flower at a different time than a mid-season potato, which will flower at a different time than a late season potato. There's no such thing as determinate or indeterminate potatoes, and I just kind of have to put that to rest. The final thing I was going to talk about, because I've also ran out of potato jokes, is the topic of hilling. People are gonna ask, Luke, when should I hill my potatoes? Why aren't you hilling your potatoes? We don't need to hill our potatoes because we've planted our potatoes 7 to 8 inches in the ground. The whole point behind hilling is preventing new potatoes that form from being exposed to sunlight. If potatoes are exposed to sunlight, they will produce a chemical called solanine, and solanine is actually in large quantities, it can actually be dangerous and even potentially deadly. That's why you don't want to eat green potatoes. Green potatoes have solanine. That's because they are exposed to sunlight. And so all we're doing by hilling is not getting more potatoes. That's not what we're doing. We are not getting more potatoes. We are not getting healthier plants. We are simply protecting the potatoes in the soil from being exposed to sunlight. Why don't we have to till? We put our potatoes deep. We plant our plants dense. That means that the canopy is going to shade the soil. The potatoes are down deep enough that typically we'll have a couple green potatoes, maybe 1 or 2. But other than that, our whole bed is totally fine. It's not worth the hassle of going back in and hilling your potatoes. You can hill them up if you want, but there's no added benefit to hilling them. There just is not. And so hopefully that lays that myth to rest as well. And I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you all learned something new. If you did, make sure to hit that like button. Subscribe if you haven't already. And also, I hope that wherever you're at, you've already gotten your potatoes in the ground. Because for us, we're really late this year because it's just been so incredibly cold. But with that, I think the cold weather after tonight is going to be past, and we should be off to the races with a nice bed of potatoes. So we'll follow along. We'll have a harvest in about 85 days. Can't wait. And we'll catch you guys all on the next episode. As always, see ya. Grow bigger,